I think the US war in Iran is bad. And I think that for three basic reasons. The first reason is our chance of success. Now, to be clear, I'm not doubting that the US military can do what it wants to in the region. And I think that we will likely kill more of them than they kill of us. When I think about success, I'm thinking about in 10 years from now, are we likely to look back on this and say, that worked, that was a good idea? Or will we think of the Iran war as a mistake? And to try to understand that, I think about the base rate. If we consider interventions similar to this that we've done in the Middle East, how often have those interventions worked out or succeeded? Well, I think about Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, and I think that the base rate is pretty low. Our chance of success is pretty low. And then on top of the base rate, I try to incorporate the things that are unique about Iran. So Iran is a more populous, better developed, better armed country than those I just mentioned. And Iran has military and strategic relationships with China and Russia. And the United States, we have a military engagement already in Ukraine in terms of supporting Ukraine. And we might have some kind of military engagement around Taiwan. And then I personally don't trust Donald Trump and the current leadership team, the current administration, to prosecute this war well. I don't even know really what it would mean to succeed here. I've heard a lot of different definitions of success. Some objectives seem really hard to achieve without indefinite occupation. For example, some of the things that Trump mentioned were guaranteeing that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. How are we supposed to guarantee that they can never obtain a nuclear weapon? Or to stop the Iranians from making and using IEDs. That sounds like a really tall order. We'll have to occupy the whole country to achieve that. Which brings me to my second point. Would it be worth it even if we did succeed? And when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking especially about the girls' school that was bombed. It looks like now by the United States. But even if it was Iranian weapons that destroyed the school, the Iranian weapons were only used in response to the US invasion. So would it be worth it, not just for the 100+ girls at that school, but also the hundreds or perhaps thousands, or in the worst case, much more, many more? Would it be worth it to kill all of these people to achieve our goal? And I think this is hard to answer if we don't really know what our goals exactly are. You could kind of think about it in utilitarian terms. You could say the Iranian regime kills a lot of their own people and they oppress a lot of their own people. And so the hopefully small number of Iranian and American people who will die in this war, that weight is overbalanced by the much larger number of Iranian people who will benefit from a new regime. But implicit in that analysis is the idea that the new Iranian regime will be much better than the previous regime. I guess a much better government was part of the goal in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that goal was just not achieved. But I don't even think much better government for the people of Iran is part of the plan here. That's not even part of the goal. So I just have a hard time seeing how whatever we achieve, if we achieve it, will be worth the cost in human lives. Maybe it would be worth it if Iran really was weeks away from getting a nuclear bomb and their plan was to get a nuclear bomb and then immediately start a nuclear war or something. But I don't really trust the people telling me that. I don't believe that. So again, it's hard to see how the war would be worth it. Point 3 is about escalation. So if the point of the war is to stop Iran from sending oil to China, and we're just going to destroy Iran to accomplish that, Venezuela sent oil to China and we kidnapped their leader to accomplish stopping Venezuela from sending oil to China. Do we just expect China to sit passively by while we stop their oil? Or will we expect some kind of escalation from China? China takes actions against us, or Russia takes actions against us. They are allied somewhat with Iran as well. Or another way to think about escalation is the nuclear proliferation idea. One reason we were willing to go into Iran is that they did not have nuclear weapons. We didn't have to worry about that risk. So to me, that kind of implies that any country worried we might invade or destabilize them now has a huge incentive to get nuclear weapons as soon as possible. And Iran, if we don't succeed in changing their regime to something better, then they will have an enormous incentive in getting nuclear weapons as soon as possible. Otherwise, the new regime will be at peril of being killed the same way their previous regime was. So the more countries that have nuclear weapons, the more nuclear weapons proliferate in the world, the higher chance there is of a nuclear exchange or a nuclear war. Well, my thinking is something like, are we going to succeed? Probably not. It's probably just bad. If we do succeed, would it be worth it? Probably not. Probably just bad. If we do succeed and it was worth it, are we likely to cause escalations that are much worse than what we got from the war? Like, maybe, probably, I think so. So yeah, that's why, in my opinion, Iran war bad. Thanks for your time.